Hey, everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 275 for May 9th, 2018. My name is Russell Frost, and I have the good fortune. No, actually, it was a coup d'etat. That's why I'm in charge. I killed Danny Cooper. Well, I didn't, psychically, I didn't physically murder him, but
true story.
Yeah, so really, there's no good luck at all. I got what I intend. Anyway, I'm your host. Hey, along with me tonight, look at Mark. I'm just killing him.
How are you going with this?
There was no oxygen.
He is just rambling. He will not shut up.
There are so many good jokes.
Segue after segue. It's all Russell.
I just want to do the whole show. That's what it is. Before the show, I'm complaining to Tony that he talks too much. And here I am.
And I don't even think that I talk that much. So now I'm not going to say anything. It's going to be
so let's introduce the other people that I have the pleasure to be on the show with. The guy with no oxygen is Mark Coughlin.
Holy crap. The show's off the rails and we haven't even started. That's awesome.
I know, isn't it? Yeah. We've done this 270.
Talk about real life. This is real life, people. What you're seeing is what happens. No scripts here.
No. It's we're all by the seat of our pants, as they say. And the other gentleman who's quietly and well dressed, just sitting there with a smile on his face, Mr. Tony Schaefer.
All right, I will talk, even though I think this is funny. We do, of course, behind the scenes, we kind of self-critique and whatever, and so that was funny. But I do want to give a shout out because I'm drinking a Leinenkugels tonight, a Leinenkugel Summer Shandy. I do so much love a Summer Shandy. So here are some reasons I love Leinenkugel. First of all, I've never had a Leinenkugel I didn't like. Secondly, every Leinenkugel twists off. Now, according to the radio commercial, the reason they twist off is that Mr. Leinenkugel was camping with some friends and no one brought the bottle opener. And so they had a case of beer chilled that they couldn't open. And he said from that moment forward, they will always twist off. So There you go. And I have a new glass that I'm going to be pouring it into.
Only child.
Yes, this is only child. Now you'll notice the shape of the glass here on the bottom. So this is, I think this is to fit in the cup holder of your car.
Oh yeah, that's good.
I don't know why they didn't think of that before.
No, Ixnay on the car holder, A.
Wait, is that the phone? Is our attorney calling already?
Yeah, exactly. No, she just gave up and quit. I just got a text message. The hell with you guys. You're all going to jail. Hey, well, speaking of going to jail, Belching Beaver, Miso Honey Blonde.
Nice.
Jeez.
Belching Beaver Brewery. And who doesn't love a good Belching Beaver? That's what I have to say. So, cheers to everyone out there. Okay. We have a show to do and some beer to drink. First up is not Russell's rant, although it's going to be a little bit of a rant. So I guess it is. What the hell? First story was comes from curb.com. And the headline is, and I quote, "Scooters could solve a big urban mobility issue if startups listen." Depending on what city you live in, or depending on how much news you've read, maybe you've heard about scooter startups leaving scooters all over the place and chaos ensues and people don't know what to do. Here in San Diego, I've seen some of these scooters, and yeah, they do actually lay around all over the place. But more importantly, I've seen people on them, lots of people. And that's a really, really good thing. Now, I'm going to say something interesting for a guy who has been involved in a show called What Drives Us that is ostensibly about automobiles, although we've always framed this show as about the future of transportation and sustainable energy, not just cars. Cars are the present. But I want to tell you that most of our problems are cars. And a good answer is less cars. And the way you do it is the way we solve a lot of problems, which is by diversifying. Everybody doesn't need a car. Everybody doesn't need a car for everything. Scooters, bicycles, as much as I hate them, neighborhood EVs, that kind of thing. There are smaller mobility things that would help us cut down on traffic, cut down on pollution, and make our lives maybe just more pleasant. And these little electric scooters, I've seen people all over San Diego with them. That's great. Now, I know it's not going to work in Minneapolis in January. I get that. And I'm not saying this is a universal solution that must be instituted everywhere. What I'm saying is where it makes sense, it makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. And we need to not reflexively go, but the scooters are going to clog up the roads. Well, that's a damn shame, isn't it? Because cars aren't magically given title to every square foot of road that we have. We need to make room for bicycles, pedestrians, and scooters, and whatever else we come up with. That's just my opinion.
In Chicago, we have Divvy, which is a rental bike, and they're talking about bringing in another bike company. And Divvy has designated the parking spots where you have to dock the bike. You have to go to a designated Divvy spot, and you swipe your card, and then you can undock a bike, and then you can ride it wherever you want, and then you have to put it back. But this new company is going to be, I don't know, dockless.
Mm-hmm.
So if you need a bike and you find one, you can just grab it. And I don't know how the whole thing works, but you rent it. I think it's locked. You have to lock it, and then they send you a code via an app, and then you can unlock it. And then you can ride it around, and when you're done, you lock it up again. And I can tell you, in downtown Chicago, I see people on these bikes all the time. And if these people were in taxis or Ubers or Lyft, they would just be clogging up the streets. Instead, on a beautiful Chicago summer day, they're out, they got the wind in their hair, they're having fun. So not only are they reducing congestion on the streets, but they're just having a blast doing it.
But are they adhering to traffic? Are they driving on sidewalks? Are they running down people walking? Like, that's part of the problem when you get a number of these all together. You've got scooter gangs loose, roaming the sidewalks.
Are you going on Mad Max on us here? The first one, not the crappy.
The first one, right? But there, I have seen the video of some pictures of people with these parked all over the place. In fact, it was I think it was some shots of San Francisco where they were just laying on the ground, blocking the sidewalk all over the place. Like, it seems that there's no rhyme or reason. Like, with bikes, at least they have racks that they typically are connected in. These things just have a little kickstand, and they're laying anywhere or laying on their side or whatever. But and then, of course, there's people zipping down the roads in between cars with them. So
oh my God.
It's something that it's a bit of a menace in some ways if you get a number of them out there.
So how many pedestrians do you think are killed every year by scooter drivers?
A little bit less than cars.
Yeah. Let me be really, really specific here. I don't give a shit if car drivers are inconvenienced. My point is that we need more of these small things and less of the big things, and that will make all of our lives better. We have roads, we have parking places everywhere. We build huge parking lots. We spend billions upon billions of dollars to accommodate automobile traffic. Nothing wrong with that, but that doesn't have to be the only solution. We could spend a little bit, put a scooter rack in every block. Every block.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is there should be some, I guess, some order to it. There should be a bike/scooter lane.
And a bicycle lane, maybe.
Yeah,
absolutely,
there should be something that allows people, to walk on the street and not be bumped by a scooter nor a car. But there should be something that allows people to, follow a path that would, path of least resistance, is not running into things, and you're not having to, fight upstream to get anywhere. It's but that people with bicycles have been screaming about that for decades.
Decades. While they get run down by cars.
Really, it's not really changed all that much. There are some initiatives, but it's tough. It's tough
should.
to get city dollars to make a bike lane. So can you imagine what they'd say if you say, I want a bike lane and a scooter lane?
I think we're coming to the point. The next time that gas goes up, and it might be sooner than some people think, I don't know. The next time that gas goes up, we're going to have to start making some more rational decisions. And those rational decisions include not doing everything centered around the internal combustion vehicle.
Yeah.
Whether it's buses or cars or trucks that we can do, our cities can support a bike lane, a scooter lane. We can support expanded sidewalks where the pedestrians and scooters could share to keep the cars away from them and to keep them away from the cars. I don't think that the idea that scooters or bicyclists are weaving in and out of traffic is a good idea. Not as a motorist.
Right.
But the answer isn't banning scooters. It's not going, those damn millennials and their fucking scooters. Mm-hmm. It's going, hey, this is a really good way to move people around in some environments, in some locations, and we should do what we can to support it. That's my opinion.
Right.
Send your emails to
Mark
Tony
Coughlin.
Schaefer.
Mark Coughlin at
well, the other thing is that, you know, they're becoming much more affordable as time goes along. Like I just saw recently, you can get a $500 scooter with the handlebars fold down, and people are like throwing them in their car and using them as the last mile device type thing.
Taking them on the train.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not? Or for that matter, taking the scooter to the train and then, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I have two I have 3 commutes to work. One is 1.7 miles. One is 2.1 miles. And even though I live in California, both rides are pretty flat. And I need a car for that. Well, I don't really want to get to work all sweaty and stuff. And Escondido's hot. So I'm thinking about a little electric bike or a little scooter. I'm a big fat old guy, but I don't care because I don't need a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 vehicle to get me to work. I just don't. It's stupid.
Right. And if you do take a car to work, you have to park it somewhere. And like Mark said, you know, here in the Chicagoland area, you know, a lot of people do take the trains into the city. And so I actually know people who drive 3 miles to the bus station and they pay to park their car there all day, and they have to pay every day to park their car. And then once they get into the city, they'll Uber or Lyft a few miles to the office.
Right.
Yeah. Scooter would solve that.
Yeah.
I just,
except not in February.
yeah, not in February. So,
Right. You know, but there's at least a month and a half when the weather is well enough to support a scooter. Yes.
6 weeks, you're golden. Yes.
there you go. Well, our next story goes to Tony Schaefer, and it's about another menace in urban environments.
Yes. Let's see. Where's the picture? Here it is. So talking about pedestrians and cyclists getting killed. Here, let me zoom in on this guy. This guy right here is about to get killed because he can't hear this electric vehicle. Also because he's staring at the cameraman. When this electric vehicle, the deadly menace is going to kill him.
I got news for you. That electric vehicle ain't going to kill anybody.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's an understatement. Is that
that electric vehicle is going to be damaged immensely when he hits something?
Yes. So yeah, there's an article here in the Guardian out of the UK that says new law to tackle electric cars' silent menace to pedestrians.
Silent menace.
Silent menace. Now
silent menace.
we railed on this 2 years ago,
God,
3 years ago here in the United States, and you know it's now hitting England. Apparently, they're green, clean, and make very little noise. It is this latter quality, initially seen by many as a good thing, that has come to acute concern for safety campaigners who fear that the rising number of electric vehicles constitute a silent menace.
Can we decode some of this story? Safety campaigners, that would be car companies.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Oh,
Who make gasp cars?
wait. I went to the wrong application. I was going to go to. There we go to the article. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. There you go. Look at that.
Yeah, they constitute a silent menace. Yeah, right here. That's I mean, just total BS. But all the same, now not only are they the safety people, but guess who else is completely behind this?
Oh, let me guess. The British Association for the Blind, or some.
That's exactly who it is, and I can't find it now to save my life.
They used the same cover in the U.S. to pass those stupid laws to make hybrids sound like Star Trek.
Yeah, so they're
swishy doors.
Yeah, they're hitting it now in the UK, just like they did in the US, and it's a massive safety factor. that under 20 miles per hour, there's not enough road noise, compressor noise, or anything, and people are going to get killed by these EVs.
Yeah.
And
deadly.
So the solution is to play Motorhead. That would be your stereo.
Yeah.
Well, even better.
I like that. Good idea, Mark.
Because this is especially by cyclists or pedestrians listening to music through headphones. Let that sink in. We're going to make the vehicles louder
so that they can hear it through the music that they're blaring into their eardrums.
Probably should not be listening to when they're around vehicles. Yes, exactly. And you know what's going to happen. I mean, people can fight this all they want, but no politician in his right mind is going to say, I vote against safety and blind people.
Well, they didn't hear. Certainly they buckled.
Right.
It's your favorite metaphor for spineless invertebrates, which is redundant, by the way.
Yeah.
God, I hate this. I just hate this. Like, we're going to make something a little bit noisier because we think there might be a problem, but there really isn't.
Or we think we're going to make it a little bit noisier and help the situation when really we're just adding to noise that no one's going to hear anyways because they're listening to their music too loud as they're driving a bike.
Right. July of next year, all hybrid vehicles sold in Europe will emit a noise traveling at low speeds. Existing ones will be retrofitted with a device by 2021. I think the device is a horn. And you're just going to honk the horn when you're under 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, constantly.
Yes.
Yeah. Getting a whole traffic circle full of those. That won't be annoying.
Right.
Not at all.
It'll sound like a flock of geese. It'll be beautiful.
James White at the Guide Dogs for the Blind Association.
Of course.
Please.
Yes.
It's so hurtful. It's so hurtful because this is a solution in search of a problem, right?
Yes.
I mean, there's all of the research is potential and might be and possibility of. There's no actual statistics of hybrid or electric vehicles killing blind people or injuring blind people any more than gas cars. But this is the same stupid, idiotic illogic that the. Ooh, do we go for the explicit tag right now? No, that the uninformed owners of loud motorcycles say loud pipes save lives. Dude, if your loud pipe is the only thing between you and dying, you deserve to die. Okay? I've ridden motorcycles all my life. It has nothing to do with loud pipes. It has to do with you being on the defensive all the time because you're not in a steel box. How's that, idiot? How's that for reality? Guess what? You don't own the road and you're a really loud motorcycle. All it does is annoy everyone around you.
Yes.
And it doesn't make up for that tiny little thing that you're trying to make up for it.
Yep.
See, I dodged the explicit tag there very well, I thought.
I read this
box of Tic Tacs he was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was not. I was talking about something else. That's very small on loud Harley owners trying to make up loud pipes save lives. Every time I see that sticker, I want to vomit.
Yeah. So I actually read this study about pedestrians are 40% more likely to be hit by a hybrid or electric car.
Yeah.
And yet I couldn't find, any real, there's no real science behind it.
Isn't that kind of weird? Or no real numbers, like how many people were injured? Well,
but they're 40% more likely.
Yeah.
But what are the numbers? Show me the distribution in the spotter chart and show me all the statistical analysis. Well, they're 40% more likely.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you hate the blind?
Well, they're annoying. No. They're not annoying. I don't hate the blind. I hate people who come up with bad solutions for problems that don't exist. But that's okay. Go ahead. Find another way to make driving an electric or a hybrid car annoying. Go ahead. Maybe make everybody wear a pink hat. How's that? That'll,
including the guide dogs.
Yeah. I can't help but think, like, is there anyone here old enough to remember Kentucky Fried Movie?
I remember the name.
And early, I think it was the Zucker brothers, the guys who did Airplane. Really funny movie, early 70s, really bad and raunchy sketch comedy. But at one point, they do this takeoff on Bruce Lee movies, and they're breaking into the villain's lair, right? And an alarm goes off, and you hear the alarm go off, and it's like it always is, except then the camera pulls back, and there's a guy wearing a helmet with a police light on his head, and he's walking around going, and throughout the rest of the movie, you see this guy walking around. That's what cars need, a guy following them with a light, making a noise.
How about a guy in every corner, and when the bicyclist comes up and has their earphones in, he pulls the earphones out of their ears.
Ooh, there you go.
Right. Yeah. And not the light.
Thank you, Tony.
There's the movie poster.
Kentucky Fried Movie. It is, it is definitely worth. Well, no, it's not. It's horrible, but it's very, very funny.
It is now on my list of movies to watch.
Oh, you have to see it. Yeah. So I'm sorry, bad pop culture reference, and yeah, Tony, I talked all the way through your article. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm the chatty one.
Yeah, you are. Well, to make up for it, Tony, how'd you like to do the next story too?
What?
I know. Why don't you talk about lithium batteries?
Like, we don't talk about lithium batteries enough.
Oh God, I'm so bored with lithium batteries.
Yeah. No. So this is an article that they posted on Electrek on May the 4th, and it had the attention getter. Are you killing your lithium batteries?
Yes.
I know. As a matter of fact, I am. But the thing is, we are pretty sure that most of the people who hang out with us every week are very lithium literate. They know what they're doing. But I still feel that it's a good idea every once in a while to come back and just kind of touch on some basics. And that's kind of what this article is. It goes into what are parasitic reactions that kill lithium-ion batteries, and how do they occur, and a very simplified explanation is that when you charge and discharge the battery, then you can get some buildup on the diodes. And as the buildup increases, the battery's potential decreases. Overly simplified. The chat room's about to explode with how elemental that is and how ignorant I am. I get that. So how does it happen, or what are some ways to avoid it? And the two main factors that are mentioned in the article is high temperatures and increased time spent at high voltages. Now, the first one we know of because the Nissan Leaf had a lot of issues in the Southwest where people were seeing 10% degradation just from the extreme heat of the Southwest United States. That's Arizona and New Mexico and Southern California. But one of them that people tend to overlook, I think, at times, is the increased time spent at high voltages. Sorry, I just read the chat. And but so I remember early on there was this big debate as to, do you schedule the charge to be fully charged right before you leave, or do you go ahead and charge it and then you keep it charged for whenever you're going to need it. And pretty much the consensus has come out that you should not keep your battery at a full state of charge for very long. And one of the analogies that I've read is that it's like blowing up a balloon. You blow up a balloon, you keep it blown up to its max capacity, it's going to stretch out the rubber. So even when you deflate it, it's going to have some of that wear to it. This article basically says the same thing. You keep it at 100%, you keep it at potential, and you have all of that potential energy sitting in the battery. And it just doesn't like having that much potential energy stored up for very long. Now, this is 100% that it talks about. And one of the ways that manufacturers get around that is that some manufacturers don't let you charge up to 100%, and they don't let you charge all the way down to 0%.
Chevy Volt.
Yeah, exactly. See, some people will argue that if you can only charge to 80 and deplete to 20, then that means that 40% of your battery is just sitting there not being used. But it actually helps the entire longevity of the battery, having that extra wasted battery sitting there. If you do have a car that can charge 100% and deplete to 0%, it's a really good idea to not fully charge it and not fully deplete it. If you can stop it about 80%, that's a good place to stop it. And if you can go down to 20 or 15 before you recharge, then that's a good mid-range to exercise your battery. We could spend 2 whole shows talking about battery maintenance, but I just want to remind people it's always a good idea to just kind of refresh yourself and pay attention to how you're charging, so that you're not killing your battery, accidentally, because you don't know you're killing it until you actually kill it. And by that time, of course, it's too late.
Well, yeah, there's that, right? I think the other thing that came up into, like Mark says, Chevy Volt, right? Is the key to this is good battery management. It is not trying to get 95% out of the battery pack. It's managing that 40% to 85% range that batteries thrive in, and taking good care of them. You know what I mean? I mean, Toyota did that with Prius hybrid, and we see hybrid batteries that go 200,000 and 300,000 miles without horrible degradation issues. Nissan Leaf didn't do so well in their first generation, and in some circumstances, their battery packs lost 20% in the first year. They've since learned and improved that and adjusted that. I mean, as you say, battery management is the key here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you'll find that certain manufacturers dealt with it in different ways. But
sure,
especially for people starting with an EV, it's probably good to have that management system that takes care of itself, and then you don't have to train someone that just coming out of the gate, going to their first electric vehicle. It's probably best to have something that will do the thinking for you. And then once you get, more experience, then you go to one that doesn't have that management system. But man, I was glad mine came with it. I didn't have to worry about it. It was set in stone that I couldn't go below 15%. I couldn't go above, 85%, and that's it. And even though it would say I'm 100% charged, I knew that I wasn't quite 100% charged because it wouldn't let me go beyond a certain point. But that took all the worry out of it. I didn't have to worry about battery degradation or the thought wouldn't even bother me because I knew the car took care of it for me.
Right. Absolutely. And that's huge. That is huge. People are, what about the battery pack? What about if you buy right, if you make a good decision, the company that you're buying from is taking care of that. You don't have to worry about it any more than you have to test the quality of gas you get at various, you know what I mean? Like that type of thing. It's just, it done well, it's invisible. Yeah. Done badly. Need I say more?
Let the record show.
Let the record show Russell held up some mobile electronic device.
Yeah. And to Mark's point, it's actually true, and it's good when a company will give you the 100% charged wink wink
Right.
You know, imagine how quickly the forums would fill up if it said, "Hey, my car tops out at 85%. I can't get it to go any, further," and blah 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 blah. Okay, let the engineers take care of that part, and then let you think you're doing 100%.
Exactly.
Every battery gauge in every good car is a lie. How's that?
Yeah, hey.
Throw that little bit of gasoline on the fire. Every car that has good battery management, that battery gauge is a lie. And it's because you would screw it up.
That's right.
That includes me.
It had to take the control out of the human's hand because they knew that we would screw it up somehow.
I used to obsessively try and keep my Prius fully charged, the HV battery in it. Why? It took care of itself. But, I got to get all the bars full. It's like a game. No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
Is that a show title? That's a good clickbait show title. Every good battery gauge is a lie.
Write it down.
Hashtag Tesla, hashtag Apple, hashtag Kardashian.
I'm writing it down. It's long, but
I get that a lot.
So I guess I have the next story. Are we done with that?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm going to be really ranty on this one. My apologies in advance, kids. If you want to drink your favorite beer or do something, have a discussion about something else in the chat room, now's a good time. Let's talk about life and death in your car. How's that? Isn't it cool that something that's there to potentially save you could explode, sending shrapnel towards your chest and face at 1,000 miles an hour? No problem there.
Mm-hmm.
And why would that happen? What could that possibly happen? Well, back in the day, airbags were expensive, but they saved lives. They saved a lot of lives. More people survive car accidents now than ever before. Cars are safer now than they've ever been. And a lot of that is, forgive me, here go the politics, kids, because politicians made a law. And when they don't make a law, most of the time the car companies, they opt for something a little less than maybe good. Takata airbags became popular because they were dirt cheap. Not because they were better, because the studies that were attached to Takata airbags, guess what? They weren't really studies. But they gave the car companies a great excuse to buy these cheaper airbags and stuff your car full of them. And now sometimes they explode, sending shrapnel into your torso.
But they do it cheaper than the competition. And yeah, you got to save money. No, you didn't. Somebody made money. Here's the problem. The problem isn't the Takata airbags now. Well, it is. But the problem is the car companies aren't doing a very good job of replacing them. This has been going on for years, depending on where you go, maybe 2, 3, 4 years. These bags have not been replaced in a lot of cases. Ford is one of the regular offenders here. There goes that sponsorship. People have literally been waiting since 2016 and 2017. In some cases, the dealers take in the cars and the cars sit there for months waiting for replacements. They don't offer loaner cars. So there's your car sitting there. Or you can drive a car knowing that there's a chance that if the airbag goes off, you're worse off than if it hadn't.
It's like playing Russian roulette.
It is literally like playing Russian roulette.
Yeah.
This is reprehensible. And this is why regulation and laws are good. Because in that libertarian paradise, you just go buy the car without Takata airbags, right? Sure you do. Because everybody's got Takata airbags because they're dirt cheap. And everybody wants to make a little more money. That's the bottom line here. This is a classic story, in my opinion, of there not being enough oversight. And again, the car companies are fixing this at their leisure. We're talking about millions of cars. Millions of cars.
Yeah, we've heard stories of people who they get the recall notice, so they dutifully take their car to the dealership, and the dealership says, "Well, we don't have the parts right now, but leave your car. When we get the parts, we'll fix your car." And then, like you said, the car sits there for months.
Mm-hmm.
And even if someone says, "Okay, this is BS. I'm going to take my car. Call me when you have the parts," they, in some cases, have said, "Well, your car is not safe to drive."
Yeah.
So now what do you do? You know, you have a car that's not safe to drive, and you have a car that is going to sit there. So you're without a car that you're paying insurance for.
You phone the dealership first. You don't bring it to them. You phone them and say, "You got the part for my car?" Mm-hmm. Don't leave it. But it's an issue. It's a huge issue. How do they can't even get replacement airbags because there's such a volume list of people waiting for them. Like, they can't make them fast enough. It is a colossal mess.
You know, the sad thing is, I guess it could, I don't know, could it be worse? Could the dealership actually bring your car in, let it sit there for a few hours, give it back to you and say, "Okay, you're all set. We fixed it."
Oh, man. You're really throwing some sunshine, aren't you?
Wow. Wow, I thought I went dark on this show, Tony. Nice. Nice. No, of course.
I bet you people that have had their bags replaced didn't even think of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even remotely till
Tony,
now.
Why can't we trust car dealers? How can you say that?
Oh, I know. They're like saints.
Right. I mean, because car dealers always tell the truth. They're always forthcoming.
Yes. They have your
care
best
about you, the
interest,
customer.
and they're protecting you from the manufacturer.
Yeah. That's the important. Oh God, don't even get me started. This is inexcusable in my world. And I understand that it's a huge problem, that it costs hundreds of, maybe billions of dollars. I don't know. But guess what? You're not really allowed to sell something that potentially has a bomb instead of a safety device. And that's really what this is. It's killed people, not one or two, a bunch. That's all I got. And shame on Ford. Just to make sure I never
just to make sure there's no sponsorship question whatsoever.
They're not the only ones. It's Honda. It's everybody.
Yeah.
It's everybody. But shame on Ford. Ford gets called out here, rightly so. But again, keep in mind, let's BMW, Fiat Chrysler, Honda, Nissan, Subaru, and Toyota. They, however, are called out here in this article because they have, generally speaking, been offered adequate loaner cars for customers. But there's 17 manufacturers involved in this. Basically, everyone. Okay.
Has some model involved with this.
Yeah.
If not the whole fleet.
Right. And do you know?
No.
Do you know? Is it okay? I don't know. Anyway, okay, that's my rant. I'm done being ranty now. But it's serious. Something that's there to save your life shouldn't kill you.
Just
Tony,
basic stuff. Basic stuff.
Basic stuff. Yeah, Tony, let's talk about something fun.
Yeah, so let's talk about something fun. I have some pictures here.
Do you?
I have this one, in fact. And so here's an article, another one in Electrek from Micah Toll, talking about new axial flux electric motors. Now, I just like saying axial flux because it reminds me of Aeon Flux.
I was just going to say, wasn't that a cool cartoon?
It was a really
There
cool
we go.
cartoon on MTV in the 1980s.
Yeah.
Yes. So the thing here is, let's see. So we kind of look like this here with the motor, and of course the electric motors are what convert the electricity to mechanical motion, and the axial flux motors are an improvement because the way they are packed, and you can kind of see here the way these are up this way compared to other motors that are wound more. I don't know this. I'm like pointing with my mouse.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work.
You're getting really technical here, Tony.
Yeah,
You're losing me.
technical. But so the point is, when you think of a regular electric motor, you take one apart, and there's copper that's like hanging outside of the
right
piece where it wraps around, and that copper is not doing anything. I mean, it's making a loop, but that outside of the loop isn't being used. So these motors have more of the copper committed to actually rotating the motor than a traditional motor. And so because more copper is being used, it gives them better efficiency, and less copper is being wasted. So that makes them lighter and more efficient. So, what do you do with these lighter, more efficient? Well, you put them in electric motorcycles, for example. And another thing you can do with them is you can put them in electric airplanes.
Ooh.
Yeah, because they're lighter and they're more efficient.
You want to see
thing
what
that's
an inefficient one looks like? There.
Oh yeah.
There's the wire. That's a more traditional electric motor, just so you can see the difference. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah. So on the ends there, yeah, you had the wire, and on the close up here, you can kind of make it out if you look and scrutinize, but it turns out that the copper that they're using is not round copper wiring. It's actually more square-ish wiring. And when you take a rope and you cut it, and you have all the coils that make up the rope, you can see gaps between all the round coils. If you could square those coils, all the gaps would be gone. And by using square wire, they have more density of the copper. And so it says in the article that they result in a copper fill up to 90%. So, and that's a huge improvement over using the round copper wires. So, I mean, the idea here is hopefully we'll start seeing motors using some of this new construction, which will result hopefully in a again, lighter, smaller, maybe more efficient motors. We may never know what cars are using them, or what vehicles, but yeah, it's just overall, hopefully it's a new technology. That's it.
All about better EV motors and motorcycles.
Yeah. And I just love looking at, what improvements they're making, because, there's all these companies out there, all these places that are just trying to see what they can do to squeeze a little more efficiency, make them a little lighter, make them, a little better. And this seems to be promising.
Well, speaking of promising, Mark has a story about a promise. Or maybe promises.
A promise to purchase, actually. We talked last week on the Tesla Life about a lawsuit coming against Tesla from Nikola, the maker of a semi that used to be propane, now it's hydrogen and electric. So this announcement came out earlier indicating that Anheuser-Busch has an order for up to 800 hybrid fuel cell electric semis. Quite a large amount. And as you may recall, Anheuser has already committed to 40 Tesla semis. So why the huge discrepancy? I'm assuming that they're placing a bet on hydrogen electric over strictly electric. They're obviously going to dabble in both of them, but maybe the number's misleading because they're indicating that they've got a reservation for up to 800. They may choose to buy 5. I guess that could be the case as well. But they're kind of hedging their bet and saying that, if we were to convert a part of our fleet, we would probably want 800. So they've maybe put that number out there as they could get up to 800. But kind of interesting that that they're looking at both and are going to try both apparently. So there's I I guess Nikola has not. It's not too confusing that they look exactly the same according to them. they have the ability to choose that we want X of these and X of those. So interesting to see if there will be more that will try this out. But of course, the Nikola is going to have the same issue that the Tesla semis have, is that they're going to need refueling spots across the country in order for this vehicle to refuel, whether they're hydrogen or very I guess intense electrical installations. It's still the same thing. You've got to have this new infrastructure in place in order for these vehicles to take advantage of it.
Right. But the
it'll be
difference
something to
is,
see.
the difference is that, again, with commercial vehicles, you can plan out your fueling spots a lot more carefully than you can, for instance, for like a free ranging personal vehicle, right?
Right.
I mean, the trucks are going to go between a depot and a distribution center, a distributor, and back. So they can control that. Is that
right? They don't have to build as many because they control the routes.
Right. Exactly.
And they can say, this route alone, I-5, we know we need 2 spots and we can place them strategically.
Mm-hmm.
But also keep in mind that there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of these trucks on the road. Companies are going to have to kind of work together if they're going to be, smart with the money that they built these things. These refueling depots, they've got to kind of get together and be able to, share some of these capital costs. They're going to have to be put in place to start a fledgling network. They're going to have to cooperate. They can't just, Anheuser-Busch, maybe, 800 trucks obviously is a lot, but you need tens of thousands of trucks to use these type of spots to make it commercially viable. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be something that the early people that are getting involved with it are going to have to work together and plan these things out accordingly.
Yeah. I do wonder where they're going to get the hydrogen.
The hydrogen pipelines that run over the entire country.
Yeah,
those right there. They just tap in. That's it.
We go to the magical unicorn farms, and
there you go.
The sun is mostly hydrogen. Just pump it from there.
You just run a pipe to the sun.
Yeah,
seems so stupid. God. Everyone in the chat room just went, "Yeah, you are."
It just might work.
Hydrogen beer. That was you, Tony.
That was me.
Nice. Well, I think it's better than diesel. I'm gonna go with it's better than diesel. So I'm glad to see that happening. Again, we've talked about hydrogen in personal vehicles not being a great solution. Hydrogen in commercial vehicles, because of the routes they run, because of the different way they're used, isn't such a bad idea. Ignoring, of course, the hydrogen has to come from somewhere, and it's probably going to come from natural gas.
I do occasionally see articles about new ways of splitting water to produce hydrogen.
Is that like the same articles that say that they're making algae to make petroleum?
Yeah, there's stuff like that, right?
Yeah, or we'll switch all our corn production to make fuel.
For fuel. Yeah,
that's
see, you're going.
It's all possible, but it just doesn't make financial sense.
It's all in the forums at flatearthers.org.
There you go. Well, speaking of things that may not really exist, Tony has our final story, maybe our final story, about something that will hopefully exist.
Yeah, hopefully. And again, trying to stick with the, hopefully here are good things that are coming. I'm at Motor Authority, which occasionally I'm shocked when I go to a site like Motor Authority and they're actually doing really good reporting on, EVs or hybrids or battery technology or motor efficiency. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe they're actually sort of getting it, that this is the future and they're jumping on board. But Motor Authority had an article talking about how the Japanese automakers are partnering to do solid state batteries. So in the same way that Russell was talking about the trucks, right? And you were saying maybe these different companies will share the load and they all invest and they all come up with stuff. Well, Toyota, Nissan, and Honda have joined forces with the battery manufacturers, Panasonic and GS Yusa. I want to say Yauza, but that just sounds too fun.
Oh, USA.
Is it USA?
I don't know. That's the way I've always said it.
Yeah,
they're old. They used to make all the motorcycle batteries.
Oh, okay.
All the small 6-volt and 12-volt batteries.
So what we have is Japan's Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry providing $14 million to fund research for the consortium of lithium-ion battery technologies. So you have 3 automobile manufacturers and 2 battery manufacturers who are now going to work together, and their concerted effort is, the goal is 340 miles on a single charge by 2025 and 500 miles by 2030. Now, and this is all done, they say they want to do it with solid state batteries. Now, of course, the part they're leaving out is the size of the battery, because I think right now we could do 340 miles on a single battery if we had a very large battery.
Well, right. If it made sense to make one big, huge battery,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I know, but yeah, we know what they're basically saying, and I'm guessing we're talking about regular commercial, consumer vehicles, a sedan, being able to go 340 miles on a single charge by 2025. Which, where the what is it? The Bolt has 238, right?
Yep.
So we're
And the
2/3 of the way there.
The long range Tesla has 315.
Yeah. So
We're pretty well there.
I mean, I thought the whole build up to solid state wasn't so much increased density, yes, but also recharging time was supposed to be significantly reduced.
Yeah. That is another thing that so the charging time will be faster compared to the liquid batteries that are currently used. Improved safety, less prone to overheating and fire, much denser, so bigger capacity. Yeah. So we can't even really compare them to the current batteries, because the current batteries are mostly the liquid type batteries. So this is just another thing. Again, I always like to try to look in the future, and if we see 10 things that are being worked on, if only a couple of them actually come to fruition, then even that's an advancement.
Yeah, definitely pushes the whole field forward. All we need is one manufacturer to say that they're going with it, and now the volume starts. And volume, of course, helps with price and availability and everything else, and innovation. Yep,
absolutely. Especially big car companies. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing if, Karma says, "Oh, we got this exciting new battery." It's another thing if Toyota says that.
Yeah.
Nothing against Karma. I'm just saying it's obviously a much bigger commitment.
Yeah.
When you have somebody who's making hundreds of thousands of vehicles every year versus a couple, maybe none.
I like how he slipped that in. Maybe none.
Very future.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, I have to ask.
One last thing. Absolutely.
Of course you do.
I want to say a big shout out to the Waterloo Region EVA. Over the past weekend, we went to the local fire hall here in Kitchener, and were able to show EVs to the first responders so that they could actually get some hands-on time, ask questions, and see the actual cars that they have seen in manuals before that they have to deal with one in a crash. So we thank our members for coming out. We'll be doing it for the next 4 weeks, so that all the different fire halls in Kitchener are able to, all the shifts will be able to see them. So way to go, guys.
That is brilliant.
Yeah. Did they get to practice with them Did they get to practice?
Yeah,
like,
we would pick one of the straws of one of the members, and we drag the car out to the back, light it on fire, and allow the firemen to rip it open with the jaws of life, and spray the car full with foam and everything else. Now it's a real cleanup mess, but we really appreciate that member for taking
Canadians with
taking one for the team.
Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow, that's a really cool idea, Mark. That is a really cool idea.
Yeah.
Good for
Thank you very much.
Good for you, dude. Well, Mark, while I got you here, you want to do some shout outs?
Yeah, wanted to certainly say hello to the Waterloo Region EVA, and we've got a couple events coming up. Please connect to our Twitter at WREVA Group, and you can see the different activities that are going on throughout the summer, meetings and events. So we welcome you and hope to see you at some point through the summer.
I think I'm going with the battery gauge is a lie, Tony.
Okay.
I think I'm going with that. Maybe. I don't know. Unless somebody coughs something up.
Has the chat room got a suggestion? Throw one up. Let's see.
Yeah.
Throw one up. So, Tony, you can't do. I know you can't talk and look at the chat room, but.
Yeah, well, so I want to give a shout out to the chat room. So, okay, I want you to see here's all the people in the chat room.
That's cool.
And then usually when it becomes a question of, okay, I'm going to give a shout out to everyone in the chat room, I come up here and I do the show participants, and it lists 2 people. So you understand now, it's like I can't trust this.
No, I wonder why, right?
Yeah, so I have to go through here and like try to identify every new
So
name.
if you're in the chat room, identify your name and give yourself a pat on the back.
You're right, there you go.
Everybody in the chat room.
Self-induced.
Everybody who bothers to go in there.
But yeah, definitely always a shout out to the chat room. And I do remind everybody once again that if you use Flipboard as an aggregator, like I do, like Philip Barclay does, head over to the What Drives Us magazine. And before every show, I take the articles that we're going to be talking about, I throw it in the magazine. And if you want to follow along, if you want to see what we're reading, what we're talking about, and then after the show, which you're listening to it or watching it now, so that doesn't do you any good, but I always post the show into the magazine. So you can watch it again. The jokes are even funnier the second time around, I promise.
It gets better and better.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Tony. Thank you for that. Let's see. My final shout out. Belching Beaver, baby. Miso Honey Blonde, ale brewed with honey. Not bad at all. A product of North County, San Diego, Oceanside. Thank you so much. So what more can you say? I mean, doesn't Belching Beaver just sort of say it all?
It does.
Thank you, Shauna, for that. As always, I want to thank Michael Mannering for our theme music. Visit him at manthing.com. Facebook.com/What Drives Us. We're at Twitter at What Drives Us, Instagram at What Drives Us Show. And of course, we are so close. I want each and every one of you to please go to your Facebook page, go to your Twitter feed, put the link, youtube.com/What Drives Us. Implore your friends, family. I don't care.
We just need 15 more. You can be the difference.
Because, as soon as we get 15, somebody will drop. But
okay,
we're so close to 500. Help us get over 500. And then, of course, I'll start begging about 1,000 and other stuff. But for now, 500.
For now.
YouTube.com/What Drives Us. Go there, hit subscribe. The only thing that's going to happen is you're going to help the show, and you'll get an email when we post new stuff. And I'm posting new reviews all the time. Posted like 5 in the last few days. So
yeah, check out the Stinger review. Very cool.
The Kia Stinger GT1 was a fun car. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Upcoming, the Toyota Land Cruiser, $100,000 off-road vehicle that is far less genteel than it looks. All I can say. My thanks to everyone in the chat room. Tony thanked you. I thank you. I'm sure Mark.
No.
You know what? I'm like, somebody has to take a hard line with these chat room bastards. That's all I'm saying. But thanks to all of you. Tony, title.
Nothing. Hydrogen beer?
Yeah, hydrogen beer propulsion is a good one.
Okay. I'll write it down. Hydrogen beer. Okay. So that's it. So all I'm going to say is thanks to all of you for watching and or listening. Tune in next week and find out what drives us. Woohoo! See you next week.